All right, let's consider alloy in chemistry. Generally, in chemistry, in chemical combination, when a metal combines with a non-metal, we always have compound. That is, in the formation of compounds, is either a metal combines with a non-metal to form a compound. Also, when non-metal combines with another non-metal, the result is always a compound. Example of when metal combines with a non-metal to form a compound is in sodium chloride, because sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. So the combination of the two will give us a compound. Similarly, example of when we have a non-metal combining with another non-metal is in carbon 4 oxide. Carbon is a non-metal and oxygen is a non-metal. The two non-metals combine together to form a compound. But what happens when we mix two metals together? Combining two metals together will not lead to a compound, but it will form an alloy. And this is the subject of today. This is the subject of the matter. Even though metal combine with some non-metals to form alloy. So that also happens sometimes. But the main thing here is that anytime metal combine with a metal, they are always mixed together intimately. They are not chemically combined. So metal combine with a metal to form a mixture and not a compound. And the name of that mixture is called alloy. So once again, alloy is a mixture of a metal with another metal or with a non-metal. So let's see some examples of alloys. So these are some common examples of alloys. Number one, we have brass. Two, we have bronze. Next, we have steel. We have duralumin. We have sodium amalgam. We have zinc amalgam, etc. So now let's see the constituents of each one of them, starting with brass. Brass is a mixture of copper and zinc. So it's an alloy that is formed from the intimate mixture of copper and zinc. You can see that copper is a metal and zinc is also a metal. So it means brass is an alloy of two metals. It's a mixture of two metals. Let's see bronze. But before that, consider the different images that we have here. So all of these materials, they are produced using brass. You can see these are bolts. They are produced using brass. This is a sound instrument, which is flute or trumpet. Both this and this, they are made up of brass. Look at this. This is a tube, a cylindrical tube. So it is also made up of brass. See how brass looks. Now we can consider bronze. Bronze is made up of copper and tin. That is, bronze is a mixture of copper and tin. So that is, it's an alloy that is formed from the mixture of both copper and tin. You can see that copper is a metal and tin is also a metal. This means that bronze is a mixture of two metals. Consider these images that we have here. So this is the image of a brass, of bronze. And this is almost looking like brass. So compare these two. We have brass here and we have bronze here. So they are almost looking alike. And here is another image comparing copper, bronze, and brass. So you can see they are almost looking alike. It takes careful studying to know the difference between the three. And then both brass and bronze are alloys and they are more dense than copper. So let's consider another alloy and its constituent. So another common alloy is duralumin, which is made up of aluminum, magnesium, manganese, and copper. So it's a mixture of 4 different metals. Duralumin is commonly used in the production of airplane bodies. You can see that the body part of aeroplane, the outer structure, that is the physical structure, is not made up of iron because iron is much denser than duralumin. We need something that will be less dense in air so that it can float in the air. So this is the image of duralumin. So, and it is used in the production of the body of a plane. The body of a plane is not made up of iron because iron cannot really float in air like aluminum, like duralumin. So that's why we use duralumin in the production of airplane. So the next alloy that we are talking about is steel. Now, steel is a combination of both iron and carbon. Iron is a metal and carbon is a non-metal. So steel is a good example of an alloy which contains one metal and a non-metal. That is why it is not in all cases that an alloy will be made up of metals throughout. So steel takes an exception in everything. It means steel is an exception. And here we have the image of steel, looking like iron. because it's made up of iron, and it's always rust like iron too. Let's move to the next one, which is sodium amalgam. Sodium amalgam is an alloy that contains sodium and mercury. First of all, the word amalgam. Amalgam is any alloy which is made of mercury. Mercury is always part of amalgam. It's always an alloy of a metal that dissolves in mercury. Mercury is always the solvent inside amalgam. So in this case, sodium amalgam contains sodium and mercury. Mercury is the solvent, while sodium is the solute. That is, solute dissolve inside the solvent. Sodium dissolve inside the mercury. So here we have the image of sodium amalgam. So this is obtained as a result of electrolysis of brine using mercury electrode. So in the electrolysis of brine, that is sodium chloride, dilute sodium chloride using mercury electrode. That's when we always obtain sodium amalgam. And this sodium amalgam is used in the production of our common mortar and pestle, or these unbreakable cups and unbreakable plates. So let us consider the last one, which is zinc amalgam. So zinc amalgam is an alloy which contains zinc and mercury. So in zinc amalgam, we have zinc dissolving inside mercury. Mercury is the solvent, while zinc is the solute which dissolves in it. Of course, you know that every amalgam must contain mercury. Mercury is always the solvent. So with all of this, we are able to define alloy and explain some examples of alloy. Thank you.